Every game begins the same way.
Before we get into today's news, I want to thank everyone who follows our channel. We've been away for a little while, but now we're back and ready to bring you the latest Orioles updates. From now on, you'll find the biggest Baltimore Orioles news right here, with the key updates you need to stay on top of everything happening with the team. Thank you all for your continued support, and if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe now and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Now, without any further delay, let's get into today's Orioles news. Orioles fans, our hearts get tested every single game, don't they? We're still dreaming about a wild card spot, but some major news has just dropped in Baltimore. The Orioles could be preparing to trade away names like right fielder Taylor Ward and left-handed pitcher Trevor Rogers. This news could directly impact the team's playoff chances this season, but there's one final detail that could completely change the outlook. Don't miss it. Stick around until the end. And if you love the Orioles through the wins and the losses, make sure to subscribe to Orioles Fan Central, smash that like button, and let me know in the comments what you think about this latest development. Have you ever stopped to think that the Orioles might trade away two of the team's biggest names right in the middle of a legitimate playoff race? Taylor Ward, the $12 million offseason addition, and Trevor Rogers, a key member of the starting rotation, are now on MLB's trade radar. But here's the twist that changes everything. It all depends on one thing happening in July. Stay with me until the end because I'll explain exactly what that is. Before we continue, if you enjoy straightforward Orioles analysis like this, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us grow. As June 2026 comes to a close, Baltimore sits at 39 wins and 45 losses, but they're still only 2.5 games out of an American League wildcard spot. That changes everything for the front office, which entered the season expecting to compete for the postseason after making significant investments during the offseason. Taylor Ward, signed to a $12 million contract, is under team control only through the end of 2026 and has already emerged as one of the hottest names on the trade market, with the Phillies, Braves, and Padres all reportedly showing interest. Trevor Rogers, the 28-year-old left-hander, will also become a free agent after this season. Both players have become trade candidates because they perfectly fit the profile contenders look for at the deadline. Proven talent on expiring contracts, playing for a team that still hasn't decided whether it's buying or selling. The biggest question surrounding Baltimore right now is simple. Will the Orioles stay competitive, or will they move these pieces before the August 3rd trade deadline? Personally, I think it makes complete sense that both players are being discussed in trade talks. I've followed this roster since the last rebuild, and I know how much Baltimore wants to avoid making the same mistake of losing valuable players for nothing in free agency, something that's happened before with other important pieces of this franchise. Ward was the marquee signing of the offseason, the player who was supposed to signal that the Orioles were ready to win now. But with no contract extension on the horizon, turning him into a trade asset may be the smartest long-term move for a team that's thinking beyond just this season. Rogers is a different story. After putting together a strong 2025 season that established him as one of the more reliable pitchers on the staff, he simply hasn't been able to match that level in 2026, and that's something rival teams are definitely considering. Even so, I wouldn't rule out the front office keeping both players through the end of the season if July brings a strong turnaround and the Orioles become legitimate playoff contenders again. That's where the real tension lies. Here's something most people haven't noticed. Taylor Ward's offensive profile has completely changed this season. Through 83 games, he leads the American League in plate appearances while recording 81 hits, 53 runs scored, and 18 doubles, but just 5 home runs and 22 RBIs. He's traded power for contact, drawing more walks, striking out far less often, and putting the ball in play much more consistently. That's exactly the kind of adjustment that catches scouts' attention. Trevor Rogers, meanwhile, has seen his ERA climb from an outstanding 1.81 across 18 starts in 2025 to a concerning 4.99 through 15 starts this season, continuing a career marked by ups and downs in the major leagues. According to MLB.com's Thomas Harrigan, the Orioles front office wants to avoid another full-scale rebuild at all costs. That means players under club control beyond 2026, such as Shane Baz, are expected to remain part of the organization's long-term plans. The real trade candidates are the players whose contracts expire after this season, and that's exactly where Taylor Ward and Trevor Rogers stand, especially in what many around baseball consider a seller-friendly trade market. This is where the real dilemma begins, at least in my opinion. If I were the Orioles general manager, I'd carefully weigh 3 different scenarios before making any decision, because each one completely changes the direction of this team for the rest of the season. In the first scenario, I keep the roster together. Baltimore catches fire in July, closes the gap in the wild card race, and I hold on to Ward and Rogers through the end of the season, giving this team every chance to make a run in October, even knowing there's a real possibility of losing both players for nothing afterward. In the second scenario, I make targeted moves. The team struggles but stays within striking distance, so I only trade players approaching free agency without breaking up the competitive core or sending the wrong message to the clubhouse. The third scenario, and honestly, the one I think is the most likely based on everything happening behind the scenes, is taking advantage of a strong seller's market. I listen to offers from the Phillies, Braves, and Padres for Ward, while teams looking for left-handed pitching check in on Trevor Rogers. In that situation, I think the biggest winner would be the Orioles farm system, adding prospects who could strengthen the organization's future. The biggest losers, in my opinion, would be the fans who believed this team was finally ready to compete after such an aggressive offseason. The biggest risk of selling is sending the message that you've given up while the wild card race is still very much alive, but the risk of not selling may be even greater, losing Ward and Rogers for absolutely nothing once the season ends. Over the next few weeks, everything comes down to Baltimore's performance in July. If the Orioles start winning and move closer to a wild card spot, trade conversations will cool off quickly, and Ward and Rogers will likely remain in orange and black through at least the end of the season. But if they continue to lose ground in the standings, expect reports to surface of rival teams aggressively pursuing both players before the August 3rd trade deadline, with the market for left-handed pitching expected to be especially competitive this summer, and clubs like the Phillies, Braves, and Padres ready to jump into the bidding for Taylor Ward as soon as Baltimore opens the door. At the end of the day, the Orioles are walking a tightrope between chasing the playoffs and building for the future. I believe everything will be decided in July. If Baltimore turns things around, nobody goes anywhere. But if the team continues to struggle, Taylor Ward and Trevor Rogers become obvious trade candidates. Now I want to hear from you. Should the Orioles go all in on this season, or is it time to prepare for the future, even if that means watching Ward and Rogers finish the year wearing different uniforms? Leave your opinion in the comments, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another Orioles update.